It's not just radio, it's Rockland World Radio. RocklandWorldRadio.com.
Welcome to Sober University, your next step to successful recovery, with Cheryl Adler, who says if you are going to crave anything, crave living life to the fullest. Maximize all you have and squander nothing. This program provides information to help you get your physical, mental, and spiritual house in order. And now, the host of Sober University, Cheryl Adler.
Happy Valentine's Day to all my listeners. Hope you've enjoyed the day for yourself, with friends, or with that very special someone. We welcome you to contact us in our chat room at rocklandworldradio.com, or please give us a call at 845-353-2910. We invite you to bring us your questions, comments, and please participate in our show. My guest tonight is Dr. Frederick Drobin, who has a private psychotherapy practice right here in Nyack. And you can reach him at his office, 845-358-4752, or please visit him at his website online at drdrobin.com. Welcome back, Fred.
Thank you. Good to be here.
It's good to have you. Before we dig into tonight's topic on healthy love, I'd just like to take a moment to acknowledge the loss of a great vocal talent, Whitney Houston. Let her struggles with addiction become a positive lesson for embracing your sobriety with all you've got. Fred, last time that you were here, we talked about 12-step psychotherapy.
Yes.
And you're also an expert on relationship therapy. Tonight, because it's Valentine's Day, in honor of Valentine's Day, I'd like to ask you, where did Valentine's Day come from?
Interesting question. It's there are a few theories about. It's a number of legends about Saint Valentine. I think we all heard of Saint Valentine. Probably most of us don't know who he was or what he did. But there's a couple of legends that kind of weave together. What I found was that he may or may not have been a bishop in the 2nd century Rome. This is Rome during the Empire, pagan Rome, so to speak. And Valentine, apparently, as a priest or as a bishop, married people. He did the marriage ceremony for people, and that was against Roman practice. So he was martyred for that, for marrying people.
Oh, what a crime!
What a crime! And the other legend I heard about him was the reason the crime was offensive was because the Roman army wanted their soldiers to be mean and lean fighting machines, and getting married and having families just didn't fit with that. And when he married these people, he was really acting against the interest of the empire, and so therefore he was martyred. So St. Valentine's Day gave his life for love.
How about that?
How about that?
For love, for good hot food and a cozy home and
a sane life.
And a sane life, exactly. Fred, tell us about your training with Harville Hendricks and what motivated you to train with him.
Harville Hendricks, as many of you may know, wrote the book Getting the Love You Want, and many of us have read the book. Some of us have gained a lot from it. Some of us have done the workshop, Getting the Love You Want workshop.
Yes.
So it's been around actually it's been around since the mid-1980s. Harville came to New York from Dallas in around 1984 and was trying to get his theory of marriage and marriage therapy going. He realized he had to come to New York to do that because New York is the therapy capital of the world. And Harville was still working on his book when I went to train with him. So we're talking about 1985, I believe. Back then, what we would do is meet with him once a month for one whole day, once a month, a Friday, and go through the training. And he would update us on how the book was progressing. So I was in class with him when the book actually went to press, and he didn't know if it was going to be successful. So the book is entitled Getting the Love You Want. That title came from the publisher. Harville's book, the one he wanted to, his original idea was to call it Conscious Marriage. His publisher says, you'll never sell that book. Nobody wants a conscious marriage. Everybody wants magic.
That's right.
So Getting the Love You Want became the title of the book. But the book is about a conscious marriage, being conscious about our relationships. And so I trained with him in 85, 86, 87, and after a while I helped him with the training of other therapists, and it caught on like wildfire. You may know that he was on the Oprah show, did a couples workshop on Oprah's show, and she won an Emmy for that. And that actually made both of their careers together.
Pretty powerful.
So I was kind of in this at the ground level after he came up here from Dallas. And back then, before he became famous and before the book took off, those of us who went to train with him were basically doing it for ourselves. I don't know if all of us wanted to be, there weren't that many of us in the first place. I don't know if all of us wanted to be marital therapists, but all of us had difficulties in relationships. Now, some of us were trained psychoanalysts. We're talking about half a dozen people, trained psychoanalysts. There was one person in my class who was on his third marriage. And when Harville came to New York City, he thought, I want to go and train with this guy and try to find out why I keep getting divorced. What is it that happens? Why is marriage so hard?
But I think just the fact that he could ask that question is so essential, that he was willing to look inward and not project and blame the other person. He was willing to see what part he played in the success or the failure of his relationship.
Well, this is a man who spent a lot of time in psychotherapy, and so he was an analyst, trained analyst, and so he was used to looking at himself. But
not everybody is.
Not everybody is, right. And Harville had that experience too. Harville was sort of backed into it. His first marriage ended in divorce, and at the time he was teaching the course in marriage and family at Perkins School of Theology in Dallas. And his divorce ended at a certain time in the afternoon with the signing of a few papers. It took 5 minutes. And he went across the street to his car and drove over to Perkins to teach class. And he walked into class and he was in shock.
Yes.
Because he said, my marriage of 15 years is just over in the space of signing a few papers. And I don't know what I was doing. We should have been able to make it. And so he was going to resign. He was going to resign his position teaching at Perkins. But as it happened, everybody in the class were either divorced or were in marriage, and the marriage was difficult. So his students challenged him, and they said, why is it so hard? Why is marriage so hard? And he says, I don't know. Me and my wife went to marriage counseling. We couldn't do it. And so from that day, he decided he was going to make this his vocation. He was going to study this and try to figure it out. And so for a period of about 7 years, he did nothing but that. He took care of his kids, took care of his family, stayed away from relationships.
He immersed himself in the Word.
He immersed himself in the study of marriage therapy. And guess what? There weren't that many books. There's, libraries full of books on psychotherapy, psychoanalysis, family therapy, group therapy. The bookshelf for marriage or marriage therapy was about like this.
There's nothing there.
Nothing there. So he decided to make this his life's work, to study this. When marriage works, why does it work? When it doesn't work, why does it not work? Why do we pick the people we pick? And is there any way that we can make it better? And that became Imago Relationship Therapy.
That's a great intro to what I know you're going to soon show us visually, which, if people are not able to see it, they can hopefully follow along. I would also like to add that even if people are not married in a religious institution or in a court by a justice of the peace, I think that this kind of work applies to people in long-term committed relationships.
Absolutely.
And I really want to emphasize that
it's all the same dynamics.
Yeah, you don't have to get married to appreciate how to enrich your own personal love relationship. So Can you?
And you don't have to be married to hit the rapids.
That's right. You can hit them pretty quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would like to ask you if you could please demystify the word imago for our listeners.
Of course, yes.
And please describe to us what exactly is the imago.
Imago. We're going to do show and tell here.
Okay.
Okay.
And so maybe you can also, for those who are not watching, who might be checking out the podcast later on their own, can know what Fred is actually putting.
Here we have imago, Latinized word from, okay, it's Latinized, image.
Image. Imago means image.
Okay, we got it?
Okay.
The image. The image of the person that we're looking for.
Who are we looking for?
Most of us carry the imago someplace in us. I mean, maybe we all have a hard drive. We're wired. We're wired early in life to find a certain person, and we look for them. And when we find them, we have that thing we call the eyes across a crowded room experience. I have to be with this person.
I need this person.
We have maybe 3 or 4 things that happen to us.
Okay.
We meet them. I catch her eye, she catches my eye, and I immediately, maybe we start a conversation. And in the space of a few seconds, I'll have the feeling like, this is the one. This has to be. Number 2, with her, I feel totally comfortable. With her, I feel complete. And this has to be. That's, the first one. That's all coming from our imago. So let's see. To draw it out, how about we draw a heart?
A heart's a
Since
good
it's
thing,
Valentine's
yes.
Day, okay?
Okay.
Okay, we have a heart here. If you do this, if you're listening to this, you can draw a heart or you can draw a circle.
And the heart has 4 chambers.
Yes. Okay. The traits of both of your primary caretakers. Up here, put the positive traits of both of your primary caretakers. So if your father was like hardworking, if he was loving, if he was caring, that all goes up here. Positive traits of your father. Positive traits of your mother. Down here, the negative traits. Negative traits of your father. Was he explosive? Was he alcoholic? Negative traits of your mother. She was unpredictable. Couldn't trust her. She got sick. She died on me. Something like that. Okay? When we find the person we're looking for, what we do is notice their positive traits.
Only.
Only. And we ignore their negative traits, which they have.
How could that be?
How could that be?
They're
So-
perfect. They're not supposed to have any negative traits.
We have the cluster, we find the cluster of the traits of both of our parents all wrapped up in the same person. We're attracted, we're excited by the positive traits, and we're blind to the negative traits. Then we come to the rapids. We get married, or don't, but we stay together long enough that we find the rapids, and we start to say things like, "You changed. Why did you change?
What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Go back to being. That's not the one I married. That's
I
not the one
want you the
picked.
way you were.
Yes.
Not the
yes.
way you are.
Go back to the other way." So what's happened is our blinders are off. Of course, nothing changed. It was all there. The package was all there. At the beginning.
But you didn't see it.
But now we're experiencing the other side of it. So the hard work of carrying on a high-quality relationship is trying to deal with the clash of let's call it the Gordian knot of our relationship, the power struggle. The power struggle is when we're both fighting against the negative traits of our parents. I'm defending myself against certain things about her that remind me of, that are similar to my parents, and she's defending herself against the way she would react in her family. And that's the hard work of a marriage. How do we do this?
How do we do this?
How will they do this? I've done this so often in my office. My whiteboard has the shadow of this.
That's right.
Of this lecture. What do we do? Let's do it again. People come and they say, Dr. Drobin, we have issues.
We have issues.
We have issues. And I do this.
So you X out the issues.
There are no issues.
That's right. There are no
Because
issues.
Issues are like something stuck in your gut. If your digestion is not working, you have something stuck in your gut. Issues are being stuck. That means a process is not working. If the process is working, we don't have issues anymore.
What do we have?
We have trouble. And the process, skills, knowledge, and behaviors. This is the process.
So we're not looking at issues anymore. We are focusing on skills,
Trying to learn.
knowledge.
Yes, all of this is learned behavior. Most of us don't come with any of this. We come with the ability to learn this. The skills are communication skills, different exercises where we learn how to communicate well together. Most couples in their relationships do not communicate well. We don't learn that skill in most of our families. Some do, but that's about 10% of people. So most of us have to learn new ways to communicate with one another. The principle of these, first base of these skills is reflective listening. Learning how to reflect back, to repeat back what your partner says to you. Like my partner says to me, you're really crazy. And I say back to her, so I hear you saying you feel like I'm really crazy. Okay? That's to get out of reactivity. Reactivity behavior would be that I just fire back and say, oh, you're crazy too.
That's the snake brain.
Yeah, snake brain, yeah. The most primitive part of ourselves. Knowledge. This is about being aware of what we bring to the relationship, my baggage, her baggage. I've heard Harville say on a number of occasions, the most important piece of information you can get from the couples workshop is to know where your partner was wounded in childhood.
Tell us a little bit more about what is the wound or the wounds.
Different kinds of wounds that we carry, for instance, abandonment,
rejection, isolation,
various kinds of abuse. To know where your partner was wounded. And then take it upon yourself to learn, because we have to learn it. We don't have the knowledge infused in us to learn how to heal the wound. Okay, so if she was abandoned, I have to learn how to heal that abandonment in her, and she has to learn something similar about myself.
I think that we should emphasize that requires a great amount of patience, compassion, and empathy.
Yes, it does. And all of those things are things we learn. So you might say that marriage and intimate relationships are ways for us to grow spiritually.
Yes.
Because that's where most of us learn empathy and compassion, in the intimate relationships. The third of these, the collection of the processes, is learning new behaviors. Okay, past, present, future behaviors. And the big one, behavior change request. Past behaviors. Now, it's Valentine's Day. People are out celebrating with one another, hopefully. What are the things they used to do when you first fell in love? What are those behaviors you used to do when you first fell in love? Do you keep them up, or do you get rid of them? Now, I don't know how many times I've asked this, but I ask men, what did you used to do? He said, well, I used to bring flowers. That's an old story, you know. Men used to bring flowers, and women would cook favorite meals. Now it's all backwards. Men cook favorite meals, women bring flowers. All right. Whatever you used to do when you first fell in love, why did you let it go? Well, the guys would say, well, I'm not getting sex anymore. Why should I buy flowers? If you bought the flowers, you brought her the flowers, you would feel like you're still in love again.
That's right.
So you would buy yourself some good energy. So buy the flowers, but be smart about this. They have to be what she likes. I knew women that don't like roses because they spoil too fast. So find out what kind of flowers she likes, if she likes flowers. Do the loving behaviors, the thing that you used to do when you fell in love with each other.
Isn't that called the language of love?
Learning the language of love is what we have to do. When I do the workshops, I talk about a guy who did all the wrong things and then, for her birthday, did all the things he liked and then wondered why they had a lousy time that evening. Learn one another's love language. Some people don't like to go to Broadway shows, would rather go to the opera. But if I say, oh, I don't want to go to the opera, I don't know anything about it. Why would I want to do that? Would do it because that's what she loves. So learning one another's love language and implementing it.
So you want to really be open.
Yes, learning new things.
Yes.
I love it when somebody says, well, it's not me. I just can't do that. It's not me. Well, we've sort of limited what me is. Maybe in God's plan, there's a larger version of you, and she's the person who's asking you to learn what that is. So
she wants you to grow.
Yes, she wants you to grow. Harville Hendricks says, our partner has the blueprint for our growth.
That's very powerful. Could you say that one more time?
Our partner has the blueprint for our growth. The problem is we give them the blueprint in a way that they would never take it seriously, all right, by criticism and arguments and stuff like that.
So they dismiss it.
So
they don't really hear you.
They don't hear you. They have to defend against it.
Yeah.
So that's what we call the behavior change requests. When your partner is doing something that actually absolutely drives you crazy.
It's maddening.
The way we navigate this is something like this. Now, honey, I have to tell you, it really drives me nuts when you do XYZ, because it kind of reminds me of the way my mother used to do XYZ, and that was very uncomfortable to me. So I would like it if you would. And then I give her the alternate behavior. Do ABC instead of XYZ. I give her the alternate behavior. First, I identify what the bother is, what history is connected with it, and then I give her the alternate behavior. Instead of having a fight over something that she doesn't know where I'm coming from about this.
It could be so confusing.
Yes, we call that the behavior change request.
I think it would be also valuable to share that in the beginning, when people are making these very big changes in their communication skills, in their knowledge, and their behavior, it may not feel quite so natural. People say, that doesn't feel like me at all.
Yes.
And I think that being in the discomfort is a good thing, because it means you're making a transition into the better parts of yourself.
Yes. All learning doesn't feel like me. If you said it doesn't feel like me when you went to kindergarten, where would you be?
And still be in the sandbox.
Okay, so learning new things, the challenges in a relationship, is learning to be a bigger version of yourself.
A bigger and better version of yourself.
Bigger and better version.
Yes, that's excellent. Excellent. So, as we're winding down, I'd like to know if you have any other suggestions you can give to our Valentine's listeners, who I want to thank you for taking the time tonight to be with us on Valentine's Day, to give people hope who might feel frustrated or confused in their current relationship, but they don't want to quit. What should they do?
Okay, here's a couple of things. If you're out together tonight at dinner, why don't you do a little bit of what we call positive flooding?
Positive flooding.
Everybody knows what negative flooding is, okay? It's when our partner tells us everything is wrong with us.
Right.
Do some positive flooding. Look at that person and say, honey, what I like about you is, and name it. What I like this. I like your eyes. I love the way you smile. What I like about you, what I love about you, and what I really love about you. No negative tags, okay? So don't say, I love your eyes, but you got bad breath. No, no negative
No
tags.
buts.
Just what I like, what I love about you, and what I really love about you.
Beautiful.
That's for the sender. For the receiver, I don't care if you believe it or not. Just don't blow it away. Just don't remind them what they missed. Well, you said you love my eyes, but what about my brilliant intellect? You didn't mention that. Don't remind them what they missed.
Just take in the
Take in what
compliment.
they love. Take in the compliment.
Learn to receive.
Positive flooding, okay? Do some of that tonight.
That sounds beautiful.
And also, why don't you try a whole day without any negative messages?
Beautiful.
No criticism, no devaluing, none of that. Just try that for a 24-hour period and see how it feels.
Just pure sunshine.
Yeah.
I do remember something that you taught me, which was it's not good to be right. It's better to be loving.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That's part of my issues and process rap.
Uh-huh.
I do it this way. You can be right or you can be loving.
You could be right or loving.
You can be right or you can be loving, and you can't be both.
You have to pick.
You pick. If you're loving long enough and well enough, being right won't make any sense to you. Being right is what Hindus and Buddhists call Maya. It's illusion.
Illusion.
People go to divorce court, trying to be right. Give
That's
up being right. Learn how to be loving. It's much better. It's better for your health. Better for your blood pressure, okay?
It's tender and compassionate.
Yes. Learn how to be loving. Let go of all the negative messages and see what happens. You change the energy. You change the energy in a relationship, you can do anything. And you can have a good life.
That's fantastic. I thank you so much for your wisdom on how to make relationships work. So, any last thoughts before we close the show? 'Cause that was a really wonderful message.
Thank you. I hope everyone has a good Valentine's Day. I hope somebody take in some of the message, and let us know how you're doing.
Yes, let us know how you're doing, and make every day Valentine's Day.
There you go.
Don't just have one day to be loving. Have every day to be as loving as you can. So I want to thank you again for being an encore guest, and I know that you'll be back with much more to share with us. Once again, you can reach Dr. Drobin at his office, his professional office, which is right here in Nyack, 845-358-4752, and his website, drdrobin.com. Remember that you can also reach me on my website, soberuniversity.com, or my office number, which is actually quite close to your office number.
It's one digit away from each other.
All these years,
All
it's
these
been that
years,
way.
yeah.
Which is, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
845-358-4652. So if you call either one of us, we'll make sure the other person gets the message. So I would also like to invite you back next week in honor and memory of Whitney Houston. I would like you to join me with my guest who was here during the holidays, Carmine Thompson, national interventionist, who's going to talk with me about relapse prevention. That's all the time we have for now. In my home, away from home, at rocklandworldradio.com, where I love to be every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. Please remember, if you're going to crave anything, crave living life to the fullest. Maximize all you have and squander nothing. Happy Valentine's Day. Good night.
It's not just radio, it's Rockland World Radio. RocklandWorldRadio.com.